Now we are moving on to our next session. That is a device treatment. The speaker is Dilip Kumar. And may I request Dr. Ajay Naik, Dr. Jayaprakash, I think, has left, Ulas Pandurangi, Sanjeev Mukherjee, and Vivek Chaturvedi to moderate this session. Dr. Ajay Naik to chair the session. Thank you.
Dilip, I think without wasting much time, I think I'll call upon Dr. Dilip Kumar, who is a very versatile interventionist in our group. And he will be the best person to talk about this new generation remote care devices in detail. So Dilip, please start your talk, please.
So thanks, Sanjeev.
Yeah, go ahead, please.
I've been assigned a task to speak on management of heart failure with new generation remote care. And these were the words of Eugene Braunwald. So in what seems on the surface to be a paradox, the prevalence, incidence, and mortality of heart failure are all climbing steadily despite the dazzling progress in the diagnosis and therapy of all forms of cardiac disease. And heart failure may be considered to be the last great battleground of cardiac disease. So these words told by Dr. Eugene Braunwald in 2004 holds true in letter and words even now in 2020. So heart failure is responsible for more than 1 million hospitalization every year. And this is the #1 cause of hospitalization for patients who are more than 65 years of age. And once admitted, 1 in 5 of these patients, they are going to die in 1 year, and there is 50% mortality at 5 years. And 1 in 4 patients are going to come again in 30 days in those patients who are in more than 65 years age group. And this fact, we all know that when heart failure patients get admitted, there is a future outcome of the patient becomes even bleak, and it gets a huge toll on the patient's future outcome. So each prevented event creates a lifetime expansion for the patient. And more to add to this, the economic loss, the heart failure hospital stays is responsible for 80% of cost of management of heart failure. So we have to do every bit of ours to reduce the heart failure hospitalizations. And thankfully, most of the patients, they give us time from stable heart failure to decompensation and then finally landing in emergency room. There is a delay, and in which in this time we can act promptly and can reduce the chances of heart failure readmissions. And this can happen with remote monitoring. And just to start with, the easiest way of remote monitoring is transtelephonic, which we have been doing for decades. The patient, is being asked on telephone, how is he doing, whether there is abnormal weight gain, is there any recent symptoms, then clinical parameters. And if the patient has a CEID, then there can be, many transmitting parameters can be there. We can get to know through remote monitoring his, heart rate variability and many factors which we'll discuss in a little while. So increase in body weight are associated with heart failure related hospitalizations. But when it comes to reliability of weight in assessing decompensation, the sensitivity is the limiting factor. Even a 3 pounds in a day or 5 pounds in 3 days increase in body weight gives a sensitivity of only 22 to 22.5%. And that is why there is no consistent report and trials which shows that there is a significant reduction in mortality and reduction in hospitalization when we frequently monitor weight symptoms and BP for picking the decompensation. So we have to move forward to a more objective evidence, and that is one of this is intrathoracic impedance, and it works on a simple principle of physics that light travels faster in fluid than in air. So the impedance, if the lungs are filled with fluid, the impedance starts dropping down, and we can program the device that if after 7 days or 10 days there is a consecutive low impedance below a threshold, the machine is going to give us an alarm, and and based on these principles, core weak condition and Optival works. And if we use this impedance in place of weight, we are going to pick up 76.4% of patients who are going on decompensation. So this increases the sensitivity 3-folds than the usual parameters like weight and clinical parameters. But if you want to pick even earlier, then we can look for autonomic adaptation parameters like night heart rate variability. And there's a very interesting algorithm called Heart Logic algorithm. These are available in Boston devices, and these are basically the first FDA-approved preventive analytic alarm system, and it takes into account these factors like heart sounds, impedance, respiration, activity, heart rate, and they come up with a threshold. Above the threshold, it gives alarm. And in this trial, like multi-sense study trial, more than 900 patients were there, and there were 192 independently adjudicated heart failure events were noticed. And those patients who were having this alarm were having 10 times more chances of heart failure. So it really validates and probably opens up a new landscape of monitoring patients who are in heart failure with CIDs. And this is very interesting. The alert first preceded the event by a median of 34 days. So starting from the alert to patient landing in emergency, if you don't do, this is 34 days. So we have enough time to intervene and to take corrective measures, and maybe we can reduce many of the impending heart failure readmissions. And finally, moving to the absolute. So if we look at the pressures, something like PA pressure by CardioMEMS, it takes away the guesswork which we do in heart failure management. And CardioMEMS can be implanted in a branch of pulmonary artery, and it gives us the PA pressure of the patient, and the physician is aware about how the PA pressure is behaving on a weekly basis or day-to-day basis. And if there is an alarm, the physician can contact patient and can ask the patient to come, or he can adjust the medicines. So these data are all encrypted, and it is an alert system to physician as well as to the patient. Finally, what we discussed, so many parameters, whether they have substantially validated or they have shown to be beneficial in reducing the mortality. Yes, of course, there are irrefutable evidence. And if a patient is using remote care, there are evidence that the all-cause mortality can be bring down by 50% in patients who are having ICD, and up to 34% over 3 years if the patient is using ICD CRTDs. These are the basically reasons why we get so much of benefit. This is faster time to clinical action, less time at the doctor, less time at the hospital, and it all creates into more living and more survival. It also brings down, potential reduction in all-cause 3-year rehospitalization by 20%, and there is a reduced healthcare utilization. There is a lot of economic burden which is going to lift off from the patient and the society. And that is the reason, because of so many evidence, the remote monitoring is there as class 1 indication with level of evidence A for last 5 years. Unfortunately, in India, it is not being used as to its potential, but it's still scope, and the newer generation, technology is going to give us more hopeful, better days. What about those patients who don't have any CEID? How can we monitor these patients besides transtelephonic and clinical parameters? So we have got these gadgets which looks fancy, just like Apple Watch, LVCore real-time monitoring of ECG, this necklace called Preminova COA necklace, and it uses the same principles of thoracic bioimpedance, and you can get some kind of similar data, and you can make your strategy and reduce the work before the patient gets decompensation. But still, the barrier for remote monitoring, these all good things are there, but how much is the adaptation rate? In most of the trials and most of the studies, it has been shown that there is only 47 to 48% adaptation rate of remote monitoring is there. And the reasons are various. The patients are not well versed with the technology. They want to see the patient's physician in person. The cardiologist is not willing. Some of the patients, they feel it's not necessary, and there are some language problem. So there are various reasons are there that remote monitoring, the uptake is less than 50% in most of the studies and real world scenario. And that is what Bluetooth wireless technology is going to change the entire way which the patient were remotely monitored. And here the compliance rate, which was around 37 to 45%, it is going to increase to up to 97%. This is just because there is an automatic transmission from the device. If the Bluetooth is paired, automatically the device, the information is being transferred every 3 minutes in Medtronic and every 4 minutes in Abbott devices. And suppose the patient, there is no transmission 4 days, then there will be alert system to patient through texts, through mails that please switch on your Bluetooth, and so the data can be transferred, and then he can transfer the data manually as well. And these systems are very rapid and very fast, 20 times faster as compared to other remote monitoring modalities. This is how patient can see the app-based, heart rate monitor, and he can, besides transmitting the data, he can see his vital trackings, he can see his physical activity, he can go through the multiple educative materials which are there available, he can go through the journals, and really he feels empowered. He's totally into the system in his own management. He's a part and parcel of his own management. And that what gives the patient more confidence. And finally, a word about remote programming. Somewhere patient is there, not in reach to the, the physician, somewhere in a small hospital, patient is admitted, but still a programmer is there, but there is no, a proper manpower who can look at the programmer in the night or, in abnormal times. Then the programmer can be mirrored into the laptop or the device, which is password enabled, and you can program remotely. So this is really exciting days for all those heart failure patients with CIDs. So concluding my talk, if we are staying connected with all these developments, probably we are moving towards from reactive treatment of heart failure, when the patient is decompensating, we are giving treatment, to more proactive treatment in the window period when we can act and reduce the heart failure hospitalization. Thank you so much for the patient hearing.
Thank you, Dilip. That was an extraordinary talk, a lot of technology, and very well said. Thank you, Dilip. Thanks. Great talk. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Sanjeev, Dr. Dilip Kumar.